what does this Sucot, or the holiday, or this event known as Sucot that we are discussing, imply? A team of European physicists reported the creation in a Swiss laboratory of at least 50,000 atoms of antihydrogen. In other words, antimatter. The fictional fuel in Star Trek's imaginary warp drive. What does warp drive mean? You're here, and warp, you can be all over the universe. Warp, in a second. It was the first time that a significant quantity of anti-atoms, the looking glass cousins of normal atoms, has been produced on Earth. Imagine? According to a report published on the internet by the British journal Nature, very reputable, the Zohar has already given us the antimatter which ultimately will reduce the limitations of matter. And so that when we speak of warp time, we speak of distances, of warp drive. Where is the limitation if antimatter now becomes so prevalent? Rather than where they had created 50,000 atoms. I don't have to tell you that on the top of a pin, the head of a pin, you could probably have a couple of billion atoms there. So we can realize that their efforts, while they are a breakthrough, no doubt, only a breakthrough so that we can understand that the time is drawing close where we have opportunities to increase throughout the year, but nothing like the Sukkah or Sucot, to create what we said is Or de Chasadim, light of mercy, light of sharing, however the Zohar would enjoy our interpretation of that Kabbalistic terminology, light of mercy, light of sharing. This kind of light becomes prevalent, becomes manifested in this arena known as the universe. What has been lacking until the present time is, firstly, the knowledge that this is what's happening. And secondly, the conviction, the certainty that when we sit in that sukkah, which very of us do, in fact, I sleep in the sukkah, I don't want to miss one opportunity to expand my consciousness, to have a warp drive in at least information, and then with that critical mass, by virtue of the internet, hopefully tens or hundreds of millions of people will be listening to this message and dashing immediately to participate with all of the technology that we have already discussed before, to participate. Not believe, but know that this holiday is for the entire world. Clearly indicated. When I say clearly, I should correct myself. No, it's clearly indicated when the Zohar brings it to our attention. No, it's not clearly indicated. There isn't a rabbi, including myself before Kabbalah, that knows that there is a system of technology. This idea of creating, they call it antimatter. I say the removal or the meltdown of matter. And where's our limitation of time, space, and motion? You realize that if you or I can expand, and which is what it's all about, that we can expand and go back in time, because that's what warp drive is all about. Who says I can only go back in time in this lifetime? I can travel back, and this is the purpose of Rosh Hashanah, the purpose of Yom Kippur, which is for all peoples of the universe. We can go back in time. and clear up the matter that created our own violations, that created our own karma, our own tikkunim, and wipe them out. Because we're in warp drive. We're no longer limited to this place at this time, but rather to be motionless and yet be within a concept known as warp drive. This is what Sucot is all about.